During the 14th century, Italy was a culturally rich and politically divided country. City-states dominated the peninsula, where, unlike Europe north of the Alps, no single power had gained supremacy. One of these smaller powers was the Republic of Siena, located in central Italy, and a hub of artistic and political activity. In 1347, the vibrance and community of central Italy came to a sudden, terrifying halt. The Black Death had come to Europe. Born amidst the Great Plague as the 22nd of 25 children, Catherine survived where half of her siblings, including her twin sister, did not. Despite being surrounded by death in her youngest years, Catherine always brought everyone so much of her own happiness that she was nicknamed Euphrosyne, Greek for joy. Catherine was considered a prodigy child due to her deep religious devotion from an early age. At the age of 7, Catherine had her first mystical experience, and by the age of 12, she had already dedicated herself to a life of celibacy and service to God. Catherine's early years were marked by her active involvement in caring for the sick and the poor. Her work was greatly needed, as the city of Siena was in the grip of the Black Death, a devastating pandemic that swept across Europe in the 14th century. Despite the risks, Catherine helped to care for those affected by the disease, demonstrating great courage and compassion. When she was 16, Catherine's sister Bonaventura died in childbirth. Their mother had wished for Catherine to marry Bonaventura's widower. Learning from her late sister's previous success in getting her husband to do as she wanted, Catherine refused to eat and cut off her hair until her family and betrothed called off the marriage. Catherine would further frustrate her family by giving away extravagant clothing and large amounts of food without asking. She deliberately made a cell for herself in her home and cut herself off from the family while continuing to live in their midst. While she adopted the rule of the Dominican order, it is not clear whether she officially became a member. After much difficulty with her family, she was allowed to join the Mantellate, an association for devout women, where she learned to read. After several years of living apart from her family this way, she heard a command from Christ to enter the public life of the world. Immediately, Catherine began nursing for the ill and the poor. Catherine's religious devotion deepened, and she became known for her intense devotion to the Eucharist and her strong spiritual experiences. She soon became renowned as a spiritual advisor, attracting a large following of people seeking her guidance. Catherine's influence extended beyond Siena, and she was soon called upon to assist the Pope in Rome. Catherine used what influence she had to persuade Lucca and Pisa away from joining an anti-papal alliance in Europe that was gaining momentum. Traveling around Italy, Catherine aided whoever she could, prayed with anyone who asked, and gave advice upon request. She dictated letters to scribes to circulate her writings across Italy, which would become the Dialogue of Divine Providence. Catherine's reputation as a peacemaker and mediator was also put to the test in the political sphere. The Republic of Siena was in conflict with the neighboring city-state of Florence, and Catherine was called upon to help negotiate a peace settlement. Her efforts were successful, and in 1376, the Republic of Florence employed Catherine as their ambassador to Avignon to meet the Pope. Catherine implored Pope Gregory II to end the Avignon papacy and return to Rome, which he ultimately did the next year. Pope Gregory would then employ Catherine again as his own ambassador to Florence to resolve another conflict between the two powers. While in Florence, Pope Gregory VI died. Upon the dual election of Pope Urban VI in Rome and anti-Pope Clement VII in the recently abandoned office of Avignon, the Western Schism began. Pope Urban summoned Catherine back to Rome to help convince nobles and cardinals of his legitimacy. Despite her many achievements, Catherine suffered from poor health for much of her life. She died at the age of 33, leaving behind a legacy of religious devotion and service to others. St. Catherine of Siena remains an important figure in the Church today, and her writings, including the Dialogue, are still widely read and studied. She is remembered for her deep religious devotion, her work with the sick and the poor, her political peacemaking efforts, and her contributions to the renewal of the Church. She is the patron saint of nurses and the sick. Saint Catherine of Siena, pray for us.